everybody, and welcome. It's so lovely to see so many familiar faces and some new faces as well, and some no faces. My name is Jerry Lawler. I'm a director of Expats Portugal. We took over the site, myself and Astrid took on the site last year, but the site was originally founded in 2005 and built to provide information and knowledge to expats who are living in Portugal, or indeed those people who are wishing to move to Portugal. Since we took on the site, we've developed a whole new website, which we launched in early March of this year, and we've grown by over 1,000 members, and that continues to grow quite rapidly. And the vast majority of those people are people like yourselves who are looking or planning to move here and need information. Tonight's event is a repeat from our very good friends at eMigrant. We're going to talk about D7 visas and the NHR tax regime in particular. So I'll hand over to our colleague Carl, who will host tonight's event. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Astrid. Good evening, Gilda and Christina. How are you this evening?
We're fine, thank you.
Great to have you back. And what we'd love to do tonight, Gilda and Christina, if it's okay with you, is to do the quick rough guides to both the D7 visa process and how to organise NHR, if you wouldn't mind doing that for us.
Okay, so I can start explaining about the D7. The D7 is a residency visa that will give you the right to establish your residency in Portugal. And it's an own income visa. You need to prove that you have own income based on your pensions, on your remote work, on your assets, on your interests, on your rentals, the rentals of your properties. All these combined together, you need to prove, to get this proof to the Portuguese government that you are able to sustain yourselves in Portugal without having to work, or without the government needing to worry about you coming here. I would like to clarify two things because there are many questions about this. Many people ask me, because they go through the consulate's websites, and many people ask me if it's mandatory to have the NIF number and the bank account in Portugal before the visa. Okay, according to the law, it's not mandatory, but they say that you have to show that you have income, and you also need to prove that you are able to send that income to Portugal. So as we started to get some visas denied because people, the consulates would say, yes, you have that income, but how can you prove that you have that amount in Portugal? And then we would have to go around, open a bank account, put some money in the Portuguese bank account to prove that these people were able to put some savings and some money in a Portuguese bank account. And then we use the law. According to the law, it says that you can sustain yourself. They understand that you can sustain yourself if you show that you have at least one minimum wage, Portuguese minimum wage, which is 650 euros per one adult, and 50% of that for the second adult, which makes around 1,000 euros times 12 months. Mm-hmm. Okay. And also another difference that now happened with the COVID, and this is a new information. I didn't talk about this in the last webinar, and I know that there is a couple here looking for this answer. Is that regarding the remote work, there is a possibility that they can apply for a D2 visa, which is it's called entrepreneur or service provider visa.
Mm-hmm.
But the consulates don't all agree on that, and the government is still discussing whether they will allow it with a company outside Portugal or not. Some of them already answered us and said, yes, we will accept. Some already answered and said, no, we won't accept. And now they need to make a decision, because we are now talking with the Foreign Affairs Ministry regarding this issue, because many people are asking us, and it makes sense if they now can work remotely, why not moving with their salaries?
Mm-hmm.
And the Portuguese law doesn't foresee that in a straightforward manner. So that is something new.
Okay. And so that's something we need to be aware of and keep an eye on as it unfolds
yes.
and develops. Okay.
Yes, because I know that are people here watching us that are looking for this question, because it might be easy if you don't have many savings, and if you cannot put much money in a Portuguese bank account, they may not approve the D7 visa, because the D7 visa, it's supposed to show that you have some savings, you don't need to work for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else you want to say about the D7 visa process?
It depending on the consulates. Well, we help with all the process. I had to explain this about the NIF and the bank account, because it really raises the chances of the visa being approved. And then you have to make proof of your own income, and you have to show the tax returns, the bank statements, all that. You need to have a clear criminal record. That's important too. Although if there is a minor issue in the criminal record, we can go around it. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We will get further questions about that, which I'm sure will draw more useful information. If we could do a quick beginner's guide to the NHR system as well, if such a thing is possible, a quick beginner's guide to NHR.
Yeah, it's not. And then after, I was saying that depending on the consulates, it's taking about 2 to 3 months to get the visa approved. Once it's sent to the consulate, and after that the visa is going to be issued for 4 months. Okay. And it is supposed that in that period you fly to Portugal, and you have your appointment to turn your visa into a resident permit. Okay. After that, after you have in your resident permits, you must change your address in the tax office, because remember, when we ask for the NIF for you, you need to have a tax representative, which is going to be our company. But once you get the residence permit, you need to go to the tax office and change and put your address according your resident card. Once you do that, you become a tax resident in Portugal, which means that you have to declare your taxes in Portugal. But we have this program that it's called the NHR, Non-Habitual Resident Program, that once you become a tax resident and you go to the tax office and put your address according to your resident permit, you can apply for this program, showing that you have not been tax resident in Portugal in the past 5 years, which I suppose it's going to be easy because you are moving, most of you, for the first time. And then you will have tax benefits. What kind of tax benefits? the income that you are having abroad and that you are paying taxes for, like the rents and the royalties, the interests, are not going to be taxed at all. The pensions were not taxed before, but this year, according to changes from the government, they decided to put a flat rate of 10% on the pensions, because this was causing much trouble with other countries, okay?
Yeah.
But if you don't have a pension and you still have other sources of income that are tax exempt, you still need to submit your tax return. Even though you are not going to pay taxes, as you are a tax resident in Portugal, you must submit the tax return.
Okay. And the penalties for not doing so, just briefly?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I think it can be about 500 euros if you don't submit your tax return.
Worth knowing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to add any more there at that point?
No, I think that's what I wanted for you to understand, because sometimes people make a little bit of confusion about the NHR. So first, we need to take care of the migration process and the resident permits. It's a step by step, okay? First the visa, and then the resident permits, and after the resident permits, we take care of the tax situation. You must become a tax resident in Portugal, and it's not a choice. I saw in some websites that you can apply for residency, but you can still keep your tax resident somewhere else. It's not a choice. If the tax office catches this, you are in trouble, because to keep this is very important to understand, and not many people say it, okay? To keep your residency in Portugal, you must stay 6 months and 1 day. And if you look at the tax law, it says that you mandatorily become a tax resident when you spend in Portugal 6 months and 1 day. So it's not a matter of choice, okay?
Yes.
You can try to trick the tax office, but then if they catch you, you're busted.
Yes. Okay. The same the world over. The same the world over, I suspect. Okay.
Yeah.
We do have a question that relates closely to that. If I could pop that in here, Gilda. Gillian asks, if we get residency and then NHR status, do we still have to follow the 183-day rule to maintain residency? And the situation for Gillian is we have to continue running our Scottish hotel until we can sell it. So need to spend 5 months a year in Scotland. So would you see that working out for Gillian?
Yes, if they stay 5 months there, it's okay. As long as they stay 6 months and 1 day here, they're
Cool.
safe.
All right, Gillian, that answers your question. Roberta, my question is whether NHR status changes if one has dual citizenship, i.e. do tax liabilities change? So a little bit more nuance there in terms of dual citizenship.
No, it doesn't change.
Okay.
It doesn't change. The only requirement is not being tax resident in Portugal in the past 5 years,
okay,
regardless the citizenship.
And that's what the non-habitual refers to then? You haven't been habitually a resident for the last 5 years?
Exactly. And people think that non-habitual is coming here and going somewhere else and they can be, no. Thank you for raising that question.
Yeah, well, it kind of does what it says on the tin then, doesn't it? The NH part, non-habitual, means you haven't been here in the past 5 years. That's fantastic.
Yes.
In the previous 5 years, okay. Over to a US question now from Christopher. How are US pensions, the 401k, etc., and social security retirements payments taxed? Again, presumably the 10% levy. Would that be right?
Yes.
Okay, so 10% on that. Okay, simple as. Just the 10% there. Okay. Sorry, we've just done that one. Is this visa specifically for non-EU residents, right? Sorry to non-EU passport holders. So I think that's somebody who has maybe currently an EU passport, asking about the situation there. So this is for non-Schengen, non-EU people, isn't it?
Exactly.
The third countries, as they're referred to,
Yes.
for the D7. Okay, fantastic. A slightly random but useful question, I think, here from Christopher. Is there a limit on how much you can transfer from a US bank to a Portuguese bank in a single transaction?
Christina, we had that issue with the client.
I'm not sure. I think it was 5 or 10,000. 5,000.
No, I think it was 15,000.
15.
15,000. But that depends from the country, from country
And
to
the bank.
country, and from bank to bank. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's to do with the corporation, that the bank brand
Yes.
itself as well. Okay, so that's quite a complex situation.
Yeah.
So we can't come up with a single Portuguese law about that. It's complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to ask your bank it sounds, Christopher, as though the best place to start would be to ask your US bank how much they're prepared to send to Portugal, right? To your Portuguese bank.
Exactly.
Okay. Jeff, your question, who would you contact regarding the D7 application? You're looking at the ladies who will do that for you. That's what this whole webinar is about. Do get in touch. We need your website, and we need your email contact details in the comments here at some point. So
yes, Vanda is taking care of that.
Oh, fantastic, Vanda. Thank you. So, Jeff, that is the answer to your question. Lloyd, if you have a US Social Security benefit statement, is this proof of income, even if you have no savings account or Portugal bank account?
It is.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
as long as it is over our minimum
wage, yeah,
it will be valid as own income. It's a retired type of situation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for these very simple answers. It's great. So from Deborah, declare your taxes or declare your income. I think it depends on the context. There. It's about declaring your income, isn't it, in terms of getting citizenship, but you have to declare your taxes anyway, from what Gilda was talking about.
No, actually, it's both. It's the income and the taxes that were paid in the other country.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you for that. Mari, being that I'm from California, I need to apply for my D7 in San Francisco. Due to COVID, that location appears to be closed. How do people from California, for example, apply, since they can't go through Washington, D.C.? I guess you've got all sorts of issues like this arising in America at the moment.
Yeah,
Christina, please.
The San Francisco Bay Area is so well. Let's put it this way: if you live first of all, it's no longer closed. The VFS is opened again and receiving applications. You no longer go through the consulate, although the consulate has made appointments because the VFS was closed for so long due to the COVID situation. They made it possible for people to make appointments directly through the consulate in San Francisco. But they basically had like 4 appointments per day, opposed to, imagine 10 appointments that the VFS will have per day. So last time I checked, the consulate appointment schedule was completely closed, and the last date was for 2022. VFS fortunately has reopened, and if you live outside of the immediate Bay Area, so beyond Santa Rosa to the north, Davis to the northeast, Brentwood, Tracy to the west and south of Gilroy, you can mail your visa request process in. You don't even need to go there in person. Now, if you live within those locations, you'll need to make an appointment and go presently to the VFS. It's very tricky to make those appointments, by the way.
Okay, and the VFS, could you just clarify what that stands for?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Okay, it's just known as the VFS.
Visa Information Services, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
fantastic.
They are a third-party company that the consulates have hired because they had so much
Oh,
inflow of requests that they simply could not handle.
yeah.
And this was a company that was working in the UK, some countries in Africa, to help the consulates deal with all of the visas. And now the embassies in America also got their services, so they are helping them out. They just process the application, like do a triage of the process, see if everything is correct, so the consulate doesn't have to bother with, oh no, your process is incomplete, go back and come back again and lose time.
Right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And as a matter of interest, then, Gilda and Christina, where are the your applications and inquiries coming from generally around the world at the moment?
Mostly San Francisco, yeah.
There's a really high concentration of the Bay Area.
Yeah,
Right.
or rather the San Francisco jurisdiction area.
Okay.
And
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. jurisdiction area, South Africa, Australia, India, Thailand, Hong Kong, yeah, pretty much all over the world.
And Brazil,
Oh, and Brazil.
All right, so it's lovely. The spotlight is on Portugal from all over the world.
Yeah.
Simple question, probably an easy answer, although I shouldn't assume that, should I? When are tax returns due in Portugal?
March 31st? No.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends. If you are independent, if you are non-habitual resident, if you are, I think non-habitual resident, it's the end of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it supposedly begins in April 1st.
Yes.
But since now we have an online system to do your taxes, you can always do your taxes on the 30th or 31st of March.
Okay. All right. And through the portal.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can begin if you want
for
to.
the non-habitual residents, it's difficult, Christina. They
don't have
difficult.
that choice. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make on their own. I don't even know if they have their choice because it's a different.
They can always do it online, but it's not the same system as the automatic IRS statement that we have as national citizens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's often the way with these things. You need a bit of help. And you need to kind of galvanize yourself for a process that may have some sort of gray areas in it. This is what we discover, isn't it? Okay.
It's always wise to get an accountant.
Yeah, you know, Portugal is I think it's very known for gray ares. It's gray areas everywhere.
But you're the people to help us through that. Fantastic.
Yes, we try to find the path
through the gray areas. Juju in London. Hello, is foreign income from employment also not taxable under Nhr regime? I'm not sure about that, but I guess, all income is taxable under this system, right? The question, hello, is foreign income from employment also not taxable under Nhr regime? You might have to clarify that for us, Juju.
No, income from the work?
Yes, from employment, yeah.
If the income from the employment is taxed on the country that it's paying the salary, it's also exempt from taxes here in Portugal.
Okay, so yeah, no double taxation.
No.
Okay, and presumably you need to prove that it has been paid elsewhere.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Going back to pensions then, what is considered a pension in Portugal under law? Social security income, 401k distributions, presumably private pensions. What sort of classifications can you throw light on there? What's considered a pension?
Christina.
What's considered a pension? Well, anything from all of the above, actually. And if you do have remote work and you can work remotely from anywhere, we can also use that. Rents.
Private pensions and public pensions and
all
savings.
The same.
Yeah.
All the same.
Will count.
All right. Going back to Gillian, thanks for that answer. And I guess we've just covered this, Gillian. Will the hotel be taxed in the UK, or does the NHR cover that? If it's taxed in the UK, it won't be taxed again in Portugal, right?
Yeah.
Jerry and Tony, does the 6 months and 1 day need to be consecutive? I guess you get asked that a lot.
Yeah. They need to be consecutive, but if they are not, if they are not consecutive, they will count for tax purpose. They don't need to be consecutive, okay? For the residence permits, they need to be. If they are not consecutive, they need to be 8 months in the country.
Okay.
So different for different rules, different answer for tax purpose and for residency purpose.
Okay. All right. Thank you. NHR rules, are they different if you're from the EU? Or are the rules the same for wherever you come from in the world for NHR?
From wherever you come.
Okay.
Even for Portuguese that lived abroad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
And
So
they come after 5 years or 6 years, they are non-habitual residents.
of course. Okay. Yeah. So people are coming back. Yeah, I get it. Okay. This is an interesting one. I don't know if this is your area of expertise, but can a Portuguese resident own a UK car as long as that car is not driven in Portugal? Can we drive our car without matriculating it for 5 months and then drive back to the UK and sell it? This is what a lot of people try to do, Gillian. When we return to Portugal later in 2021 to complete the 183 days, we'll hire a car. So I guess that sounds to me more like a question that will get discussed in our expatsportugal.com forum rather than the area of expertise.
Yes, because I don't know much about cars, sorry.
Yeah, matriculation, believe us, we are looking for the greatest experts on matriculation and how to manage cars coming into Portugal. And it's not an easy thing to deal with because, as we were discussing before, Christina, it's so vehicle specific, isn't it, that you can't really make generalizations about this.
Yeah, it depends on the brand of the car, how many changes you need to make to the car, the meters, if it is a stick or a manual or an automatic. It depends on so many factors.
Okay, so complex there, and it's something to be sort of shared and picked apart, I think, in our forum. Lloyd, thank you for this. Upon sale of overseas residence, can you transfer the full amount to Portugal, to your Portugal bank, for the purpose of buying a new home? So this goes back to the earlier question, doesn't it, of the maximum amounts of transfer of cash?
No, I think that his doubt is different.
Okay.
I think that correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what sits in his mind is if he puts the whole money in a Portuguese bank account, will that be enough for the D7? And my answer is going to be no. Okay? Because you need to show that you still have some flow income. Okay?
Okay. All right, thank you for that. And is the sale of property overseas considered taxable income? I guess it will be somewhere. And how would the Portuguese authorities look upon that?
Upon what? Sorry.
The sale of so you sell your home in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Is that considered taxable income? But I guess that depends on if you've become a resident or not.
Yes.
Time. Yes.
But I think you will pay everything. The rule that the worldwide tax rule is from properties. The income from properties usually are paid in the country where the property is.
Yeah. Okay. And that's just a rule of life, isn't it? It will be taxable somewhere. If you use a currency agent, then Jeff suspects he doesn't think there's a limit. They've bought a plot and transferred significant. It was significant to them lump sums, although we could only transfer a maximum of 25,000 per day from our bank to the currency agent. So thank you for that, Jeff. That's interesting. How much should be shown in a Portuguese bank account when preparing to go for an SEF appointment? We covered that earlier on. Would you mind reiterating that? What's a good balance to show in your Portuguese bank account, Gilda?
7,200 euros, which is more or less equals to 12 times the Portuguese minimum wage.
Okay.
And this is for one person, remember
For one
that.
person, yeah.
And the second one, as I recall, 50% of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so about 10,000. Yeah.
Cool, for a couple there. Okay, brilliant. The Turners, thank you. When you say that you are taxed on your pension, do they have a window or allowance before you are taxed, or are you taxed anyway on whatever your pension is? So I guess this is the threshold of when you stop in your country of origin and you start in Portugal. I guess that's just a paper trail thing, right? To manage that transition.
Yes, and also we don't know how to answer that question because this is going to be the first year that it's going to happen.
Yes, the new 10% law.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit like the whole Brexit thing, it's wait and see. And the D2 visa, we're watching and waiting.
Yes.
So stay tuned and stay in consultation with Gilda and Christina about that. For your sake, Pam, I missed the first part of this web meeting. Do you need a visa to stay beyond 3 months? I know the answer to that, but I'm not going to take that away from you, Gilda and Christina.
No, you don't need a visa to stay because you can stay as a tourist for 3 months and then you can apply for extension of visa tourist. The only problem is that now with the COVID restrictions, you are not allowed to come in as a tourist unless you have a reasonable explanation.
Yes. Well, it is so complicated at the moment. That's why you need the help of Gilda and Christina through this. Actually, on that matter, with British people now in Portugal already, if they've been here and are coming up to the 90 days, the advice is to register, isn't it?
If they are European citizens.
I was talking specifically about Brits. So
yeah. If they stay for more than 3 months, they have to register.
Yeah, absolutely.
The city hall. Yeah.
Okay, and yes, the advice there is to apply for residency. From Roberta, if assets are part of a recoverable trust, is that valid for application purposed to use as validation of assets? That sounds pretty complicated. Does that make any sense to you, Christina or Gilda?
Yes, we did that before. Okay, and the answer was? Yes, they counted as income.
Oh, okay, fantastic. We've got some specifics along the lines of, can we give us the phone number or the address for VFS in San Francisco? Christina's your person for that. And thank you, Vanda, for putting all of the details for AE Migrante in the comments there. Generally speaking, you're looking at all the w's.eimigrante.pt for the website. And for general email inquiries, go to Geral, Geral, at EIMIGRANTE.
And I'm sorry, I saw that someone, I cannot find now who it was, but someone wrote that tried to email us before and didn't get an answer.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. If you can just make the question again, so Vanda will give you my personal email and I will answer you.
Brilliant. We'll make sure you get a response there. Thank you, Gilda, for that. This is the great question from Deborah. Is the online tax system also in English?
Oh, it's a wonderful question. I understand that they are trying to make the transition, but I don't know if it is completely in English right now.
No, I don't think so.
The translations that are done by your browser are kind of okay in my experience, but it sounds like the government are trying to make that happen at their end.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it's best to get the help of an accountant, isn't it, to help you through
definitely
that portal system. But you can make a pretty good go of it with translation software or the way that the browser does it. Okay, is this meeting being recorded and available later? Absolutely, Phil. So yes, you can go back through to check the answers. They will be available on expatsportugal.com, on our website and on our YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody who subscribed recently and took us over that 1,000 subscriber threshold. It means a lot to me personally, so thank you very much for that. Did you say, this is a, I think probably a gasp at home for the Turners. Did you say that savings are taxed?
No.
Okay, the Turners can relax.
Not the money you currently have.
Right. Okay.
No.
A bit of a clarification. Yeah, relax the Turners. Confused on a previous webinar, I'm sure you said the 6 months in order to retain your residency did not have to be continuous. You did warn that if you come and go, you will need to be able to prove that you did a full 6 months and 1 day. That's from DD and Jason. That's probably for you, Gilda.
No, for the residency, it's how I explain now. It's 6 months in a row and 1 day, or if they are not in a row, 8 months. For tax purpose, they don't need to be in a row. They just need to be in total 6 months and 1 day.
Okay, thank you very much. Mari.
Although, I'm sorry, although I must say, I'm sorry, although I must say that now the law has changed, and this was applied when the resident permit was granted for 1 year in the first year. Now the resident permit is going to be granted for 2 years, okay? And they don't specify how this accountability is going to be made. But we are supposing that the rule is going to stick for each year, like 6 months in a row in the first year, 6 months in a row in the second year, or if not in a row, 8 months in each year.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the clarification.
And also, don't worry too much about this, because if you are going to renew and they are going to check the days that you were here or not, there is a rule that states that you can justify that by personal, family reasons, medical reasons, and professional reasons. Okay. So there is always a way. Of course, if it's closer to the 6 months or to the 8 months, okay? If it's only 2 months or 3, then it's going to be difficult to justify.
All right, thank you, Gilda. How long do I need to rent a property to obtain the D7? Is it 6 months or is it a 1 year contract?
For the D7 visa?
Yep.
Well, you just need it to be for 6 months, but good luck finding a landlord in Portugal that will do a rental agreement for 6 months.
Yes.
It's very, very difficult. So if you do end up getting a rental agreement in Portugal, it will probably be for 1 year. For the visa, what we normally recommend, and since you are a member of a forum, just ask a friend to sign a liability term for you.
Okay.
Okay, like they will be the person that is inviting you to come to Portugal. They will have a place for you, and if that all fails, just contact us. We have a way.
That's great. That's good to hear. If one, here's a test then. If one deposits 10k euros in a Portuguese bank account and then has a 401k in the US to show for income, will that be enough for the D7? I'm testing my knowledge, and I think that yes. Let's go to the experts now.
You said 10k and
10k euro in the Portuguese bank account, and then a 401k in the US.
That should be enough, yeah.
Yes.
How much is in the 401k?
If you want to tell us that, Jeff, you can if you wish, or you may want to get in touch privately.
I can see Jeff from here. I trust he has enough. Come along, Jeff.
Come on, Jeff. Okay, fantastic. Gillian, I think that one's a bit specific there. So we'll I think I would email that in to Gilda and Christina there, and urge everyone else to do that. They are very approachable and very helpful. So anything you haven't quite got the hang of, do get in touch with AE Migrante. Have I pronounced that correctly? Because I'm AE Migrante.
AE Migrante, yeah.
Perfect. No, Gilda thinks not. Go on.
The name of the company is Hey. Okay.
Hey. Okay.
Hey.
Yes. All right.
Migration agency. A Migrant is the domain.
Oh,
the
okay.
email.
All right. Okay. So I'm going with my Portuguese pronunciation. Is it IE or AE? But
A.
I'll take that up with
And
you.
you know why it's A? It's called A.
To
It's
get
not
people to take-
Islamic State, as many people ask us.
You don't
It's
want that.
because it's a migrant, the one that goes from Portugal abroad, and
Yes.
immigrant, those that come from abroad to Portugal. So it's hey.
That's all very well, Gilda, but with my Portuguese pronunciation, I just kill it off. That wonderful pun you make there. I think all Portuguese pronunciation is best done with a glass of Portuguese wine, which I promise I'm not doing tonight, and that shows, I think. Okay, if for anyone arriving in Portugal between now and the end of the year on a D7 visa, should we have a negative COVID test on arrival? Now, this is something you would know, Christina, I would have thought from dealing with clients.
It doesn't need to be on arrival because we know that sometimes you have to have layovers in somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you just need to have the PCR test done with a negative result 72 hours prior to the flight departure.
Okay. All right. So there is a rule on that.
So the PCR test, don't do rapid tests. That won't do. You will be barred from boarding the plane. It needs to be the one with the long swab up your nose. Don't be afraid. It will be worth it.
Okay, good. Worth the trouble there. Lynn, LNR, I'm going to go with there. Is it possible to have the recording of this, please? Golden advice, but I can't keep up. So yeah, I totally understand that. And yes, as I said before, it will be available on our YouTube channel and on the website expatsportugal.com. Incidentally, yeah,
it's a lot of information, we know.
A lot of it, and thank you both so much for tackling this, because I know there are so many grey areas, and things are changing as well. It's like, it's a very movable situation at the moment, isn't it? And
it is.
Yeah, there are so many factors going on. There's so much long grass and grey area, if I can mix my metaphors. So yes, LNR, we will have that available to you to go through with a fine-tooth comb afterwards. When does the timeline for importing household goods start? So a little bit of sort of practical, homely advice here from Lloyd. If we get a residence permit to buy a car, does that mean we then only have 3 months after this registration to bring in our household goods? Can we get an extension since we may not have a home until much later? I wasn't aware that there was any limit on or a timeline for importing household goods. What might Lloyd be referring to there?
I actually don't know, because what you need to do before anything else, if you are planning on coming to Portugal, don't ship, and I cannot stress this enough, don't ship your belongings over to Portugal without having a residency visa or a residency permit or the baggage certificate from the consulate. And you cannot get the baggage certificate from the consulate with either the residency visa or the residency permit. Okay? This will mean that you'll probably be taxed over your own things.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
yes, very important. And another great discussion from our consulates around the world is that for the luggage certificate, some accept the visa, the residency visa, others only with the resident permits.
Okay.
San Francisco and Washington are safe.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, but because we worked a lot on that also.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why you need this sort of help, because I guess you lobby and push in these sort of situations in a way that an individual can't do on their own. They won't know how to, and you've got the force and authority and experience to keep pushing away at these things and deal with the variables in this situation. Okay, back to Gillian. Can the 6 months cross the New Year barrier? Please say yes. Now, is that because you're fearful of the New Year barrier and the Brexit regulations? What sense do you make of that, Christina and Gilda?
I think she's meaning, well, imagine you have your residency permit on December 1st.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to be on the barrier of the New Year's Eve. It's like what you need to have in mind is when your residency permit begins and when your residency permit validity ends. Okay. So between that time, you need to be 6 months and a day here, or at least 8 months. And let's see how that goes now that the residency permits are valid for 2 years.
Okay, all right. So another thing to keep watching. I love the far-sightedness of this question. After the 10-year NHR tax benefit period, which is telling us that there is a 10-year period, how do the tax percentages change after that? Do we know that yet?
Yes, we do know.
Cool.
Then we have to see if there is a taxation agreement between the countries involved, and we have to work on that. Usually there is a non-double taxation agreement between the countries, and what can happen in the worst case scenario will be if, for instance, your pension is taxed 20% in your home country, but in Portugal it will be 35%, then you will be taxed for the difference.
Okay, all right. And this is after the 10-year period?
After the 10-year period.
Okay. That's really helpful, thank you. So the 6 months continuous applies to Brits under the withdrawal agreement. I don't think we know the answer to that, do we? What's going to happen?
Yes, we do know.
Oh, we do know. So go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
It applies.
Okay. All right. Fantastic.
It applies only. It's more if you are in the Schengen area. It's going to be difficult to follow that, of course.
Yes. Okay.
Only if you have a stamp in your passport, they can follow that. But CEF, which is the authority that makes the renewals, they are now being a little bit more strict with this, because they found out that many people got the resident permit here and were living in France, for instance, because it's easier to get here than to France. So they started to ask for additional proof that people were in the country, like the rental agreements and the bank statements. And with the bank statements, they caught some people that the movements were made outside of Portugal for more than 6 months.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And of course,
be careful.
The elephant in the room question, as ever, is there any further light being shed on what happens after, or for British people after the 31st of January? Any clarity there that you are aware of?
Not yet. Not yet. We don't know if they are going to be treated as a third country, okay, and then they would have to apply for the D7, or if there is going to be any special agreement with them. We don't know yet. Nobody knows.
Okay. I thought I'd ask. I suspected that was the case, but I thought I'd ask. Christopher, can we get a rental agreement that runs from January to December, a couple of months before the start of the rental? Our plan is to move in January, a few years from now, but would obviously have to apply for a visa a few months ahead. I'm not quite sure of the logic of that. That might make some sense to you, Gilda and Christina, from your experience of working with people in this way.
Yes, he wants to have a rental agreement before he comes for the visa process. It's possible to do, although I won't advise, because you are not going to be here to choose unless you come here and you choose the place and then you go back and apply for the visa. Otherwise, when I was telling some clients this, because they asked me, can you go and see and rental on our behalf? Legally, I can if I have a power of attorney, but I don't like to do that.
Okay.
I prefer people to come and see and check, and we just find some way of going through that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good question here, Mari. Thank you for this on the matter of wills. We have a family living trust and a will. All of our assets are pulled into the trust, as well as medical decisions, etc. Will this be valid in Portugal? I can't remember where you're from, Mari, forgive me. I think that's the States, isn't it? Will this be valid in Portugal, or do we need to have a new trust and will drawn up?
Well, if you can prove, if you have any document that proves the money that is in that trust, yes, they will accept as income.
But in terms of trusts and wills and the legal documents around them, and it is in California where the will and the trust have been drawn up, do they remain valid documents in Portugal? So, I mean, and that's a generalized question for anyone who's had a will drawn up in the country of their origin. Does their will still stand when they arrive in Portugal?
I think I'm not sure about this. I think it will be stand in the US and showing that the money can come to his bank account when the time comes.
Okay. But more generally on if you have a will, does it matter where you draw that up in the world? And is it advisable to create a new will once you become resident in Portugal?
No, I never came across to this before, because and I don't think it's relevant. I don't think it's relevant, but I think that the tax on the successions in Portugal are really low, and many people can do that as a tax-wise.
Oh, okay. So there might be a strategic advantage to restoring the will.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting to know.
But I'm not the best person to talk about that, because it's not my specialty.
Okay, I think so. Yeah, Kate.
But now that you raised that question, I remember that many French people came to Portugal to do their wills and buy houses, because if something happened, the kids didn't have to pay tax on that.
It may be the first, if not a question we ask before the next time Daniel Reyes comes and joins us. He's the man to ask about that. Your associate, Daniel Reyes. Okay, so let's do that. The thing you were very firm about, Christina, about not shipping your belongings here until you...
Don't you do it. Don't you dare.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Okay, but does it apply to people in the UK currently up until the 31st of January?
Not until the 31st.
Get on with the shipping now. I'm aware that we've just got a few minutes to go. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. I've tried to sort of collect them together and give you a general sense from the answers. I hope you have got a general sense. Do go with your specific questions to Gilda and to Christina, who I think you'll agree have been amazing tonight with the depth and width, and it's 5 dimensions, isn't it? Not just 3 with what we're dealing with here. So amazing, you two. Thank you for all that value tonight. And of course, just to remind you, premium members of expatsportugal.com get 10% off the services of these fine ladies who've been with us tonight at Hey. And I don't have to say the whole Hey Migrante.
Great.
We got it right. Thank you very much.